Feel comfortable in guard with the ground and pound, because that's kind of like almost a lost art in MMA, like that ground and pound from guard.
Yeah, I'm real comfortable in guard. We practice that all the time, and there's fights that you probably can't see it on, like, look it up, but I've won fights off of just ground and pound from in the guard.
And then at the end of the fight, after it was over, he kind of came up to you, and it was kind of hard to see what he was saying or what he was kind of like gesticulating with his hands. What was that when he came up to you?
No, we hugged, and he was like, "I hate you," and then, like, we're just playing around, nothing serious. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Any more questions?
Just one final one, Geoff.
Yes, sir.
Media Day we spoke, you said you're only serving until you find more income outside of the UFC. But with this 50,000 bonus, you still gonna continue serving?
Yeah, I'm still serve because to be honest, I like to serve. You know what I mean? Like, I could have probably quit a long time ago, but I like to do it. I like to work hard, and like I said, I like to keep extra money coming into the household. You know what I mean? It's not the UFC money that keeps me from serving.
Thanks.
It's a personal thing.
Thanks so much.
No problem. Good to go? Awesome.
What's up, everybody? Long time no talk. But Jose Young's here, the MMAFighting.com. We're here at the UFC 240 post-fight press conference. I'm here alongside Alexander K. Lee. Geoff Neal just wrapped up his press conference. Big win over Nico Price. He did earn the $50,000 fight of the night bonus. As described by him, the biggest ever gotten. I don't think if people watched our media day interview with Geoff, he said he's still a server at a restaurant, and he would want to keep serving until he finds more income outside of the UFC. But said he still wants to keep serving. It's a personal choice. It's not a professional one. We're still waiting on a few other fighters. I believe Cyborg is supposed to fight. I'm not sure about Felicia Spencer. And obviously Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar. Max Holloway obviously successfully defended his featherweight crown against Frankie Edgar with a dominant decision. Same with Cris Cyborg. Outside of defending her title, she won a pretty dominant, bloody decision over Felicia Spencer in a fight not many people counted Felicia in. But Alex, we just saw. We'll go back to Geoff since he's the one we just heard speak. What did you make of his performance against Nico Price? Big win, I believe 4-0 in the UFC. Another TKO win against a very game Nico Price.
Yeah, just 4-0 now. 3 of those wins by finish. He was a hot prospect coming out of the Contender Series. He has not disappointed. He's definitely ready for like the next tier because these wins are now against Bilal Muhammad and Nico Price, who I would say like are in the maybe top 30 range of the welterweight division. So he took out 2 guys easily in his first 2 fights, and then now Nico, and then before that Bilal. So and he's shown a lot in both. The Bilal Muhammad fight, it went 3 rounds, which some people would question what this guy could do because he's such a big finisher, always finishes early, so he proved something there. Here he adapted against a super unpredictable opponent because Nico is just a finishing machine. And if I don't know how many people watched the fight, but Nico got crazy in round 2, and Geoff had to think very fast. And he said in the press conference he got to show off some of his wrestling, which he showed a little bit in some of his previous fights, but maybe it didn't lead to a finish. So this time he got Nico down and started wailing on him with ground and pound, and really just did not let up until Nico was kind of flailing around. He wasn't limp, I think he very briefly protested the stoppage, but I don't think Nico had too much of a problem with it, and the fans certainly didn't. It was a great finish. Yeah, 4-0. So definitely one to watch for in the UFC welterweight division.
Yeah, big win for Geoff Neal. Another TKO win, as we both said. But we are obviously live. We have a little bit of time between fighters, getting stitched up a little bit. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can obviously drop them into the comment section. So I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. What did you think of Geoff's performance? Who should he fight next? Is there anyone in mind at welterweight? He called for a top 15 fighter, said he didn't care who. But we'll talk. Oh, right out of the gate, we have Frankie Edgar up now. Came up short, so we're going to kick it back, and I'm going to shut up.
Tough fight. Can you just reflect on how you felt in there and where kind of things didn't follow the game plan, I guess?
I thought I did well. I did the best I can. I just got to give hats off to Max. He's able to get the tide going in certain rounds. Even rounds I thought I was doing well, he was able to flip the tides here and there.
I mean, one judge had him for all 5 rounds. Did you feel in there that you took a few rounds off him, though?
Thought I won a couple. It's tough to really say when you're in there. I guess I got to watch the fight. But my team thought I won a couple, too. But it doesn't matter. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, and I can obviously tell you're extremely disappointed. I mean, can you just explain kind of your emotion after, I know you really wanted to regain that title and obviously didn't pan out tonight.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken, man. It's tough. It's tough when you want something really that bad and, can't get it. And I've been close, so many times before.
Do you think at all about what you do from here?
Nah, not yet. I'm not going nowhere.
Hi, Frankie, back here. Not to beat a dead horse, but sort of along those same lines, is it hard to imagine traveling that road back to a 4th featherweight title challenge?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really not thinking of nothing right now, to be honest with you.
You made sure to say in the octagon that you have plenty of fight left in you. Did you feel like you had to say that because, there are people at this point in your career, there are always people saying, oh, how much longer is Frankie going to fight? Was that a message for anyone in particular or any segment of fans in particular?
I don't say shit, man. I don't really care what anybody thinks or says. I guess that was for myself.
Frankie, obviously you're not thinking about anything in the future past today. Can you just give us an idea of what is going through your mind at this time after the fight?
I'm just pissed off, a little disappointed, but I'm proud of my performance. I'm just disappointed in letting my team down, I don't think I know they're proud of me, but, you always want to deliver victory to them because they sacrifice so much as well.
Just one more for you, Frankie, right here. Obviously, your son is back there. I saw you walking out of the cage with him. What lessons do you teach him tonight stemming from this? Obviously, he witnessed everything that went down.
You're going to lose in life, man. Can't let it keep you down, And I've lost before. It's just what it is. Never held me back.
Frankie, right here. You and Max spoke for a little bit inside the octagon, and I saw Max talking to your coach, Mark Henry, for a while before he left the octagon. What did you two say, and do you know what Max said to your coach?
I don't know what he said to Mark, but I just told him he represents us well. He's a stud. He's the best to do it right now, and I got tremendous respect for Max. I did before the fight, and even more so now. Thank you.
What's up, guys? And with that, Frankie Edgar has left the building, his team in tow. Came out, I don't know if the doctors checked on him or not. He kind of came in, didn't have much words to say. Said he used the word heartbroken. Didn't want to think about hasn't thought about what to do next. Said he didn't care what people thought. He did say he had fight left in him, but doesn't know what's left. What's his next step? But heartbreaking to see Frankie Edgar come up short to another top champion. I think him and Uriah Faber are the first fighters, or he ties Uriah Faber as like the first fighters to maybe come up four straight title opportunities that they came up short. And to be honest, he's not been just completely down. Like, yes, it was 50-45 on one of the judges' scorecards, but those were very close rounds. It's not like he got the doors blown out of him. So if he had gotten knocked out like he did against Brian Ortega, maybe we're having a different conversation. But it's still Frankie Edgar at the end of the day. I believe he's way up there, if not the highest, for most in octagon time in UFC history, combined octagon time. So he's been fighting 5-round fights his whole career, his whole life. He's a top contender, 145. People did ask him if he would go to 135. He said, I'm not thinking about that now. I think he's getting sick and tired of, would you want to go back down? You want to go back down? It's very similar to when he came up short to Benson Henderson for the second time. Immediately people asked him, would you go back down to 145? I think he's really sick and tired of it. It's obviously, this loss still fresh in his mind. But what did you make of Frankie's demeanor? What did you think of his performance? Just thoughts on the fight as a whole, Alex.
Frankie's disappointment and frustration were almost palpable. You could just kind of feel it in the room, especially when you have goofs like us having to ask him questions when he clearly doesn't want to talk, and we're just searching for a headline. And he says right off the bat, it's clear he doesn't want to talk. He says he doesn't have much to say about it, especially about his future. We're always looking for what's next for a fighter, especially a guy like him. And again, how can we expect him to have an answer at this point? So, understandably, somewhat short with his responses. Nobody can speak for him. It'd be interesting to talk to his team, though. Again, I'm sure they're also not thinking about what's next and just kind of want to get his spirits back up after such a tough loss. I happened to ask, again, I hate to ask it, but I had to ask. This was his third time fighting for the featherweight title, and it was a long climb every time. And to do it a fourth time, and possibly have to go up against a Max Holloway again, or Jose Aldo for a third time, or who knows, even if Brian Ortega has also defeated him. I can't imagine the mental strength it takes to even consider doing that, and then the actual work you have to put in to go back and do that and win 2 fights, 3 fights, 4 fights, who knows how many fights in a row for him. So I think it's great for fans of Frankie Edgar that he still sounds like he's got that fire and that he is saying he's going to compete again. So it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere soon. Whether it's bantamweight or not, we don't know. But, we haven't seen the last of Frankie Edgar.
Absolutely not, and I'm just getting word. This might be incorrect. Actually, it is incorrect, but performance of the nights are Neal got one of the performance of the nights. Fight of the night, it was Figueiredo versus Pantoja. But I'm being told Pantoja won a performance of the night, which obviously is not accurate, considering he lost. Hakeem Dawodu won the other performance of the night, correction. He got that pretty nasty head kick knockout. Neal obviously finished Nico Price. Figueiredo and Pantoja was an absolute barn burn. I wrote on Twitter, Figueiredo is like a human equivalent of a wood chipper. So was very adamant that he wanted to prove that the flyweights were important and belonged to the UFC. Said Henry Cejudo was scared to fight him at flyweight. Obviously, he said Joseph Benavidez deserves the next flyweight title shot, but he would like to fight either the winner of Joseph Benavidez versus Henry Cejudo, or if Henry Cejudo, who did have shoulder surgery, is out, defends his flyweight title and say he wins, and then has to go back to bantamweight to defend his bantamweight title, he would like to fight Joseph Benavidez or someone else for the interim title. He really stressed that the flyweight division isn't going anywhere, and he wanted to prove that he belonged, that the flyweights belonged in the UFC. But I had a night of fights. I think we had a lot of highs and a lot of I don't want to call them snoozers because I don't like that word, but maybe some fights didn't quite live up to expectations. Figueiredo, Pantoja was an absolute fantastic fight. Cris Cyborg versus Felice Spencer, I thought was an amazing fight. Yes, Cyborg won, but the fact that Felice Spencer survives 3 rounds against a woman that very few can last 1 round with was ultra impressive. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar was obviously a phenomenal technical matchup. They were pumping the jab in there, a lot of uppercuts from Max Holloway. He did a phenomenal job defending the takedown. But any other fights that we haven't talked about or performances that really stand out in your mind, either for the good or for the bad?
Yeah, there was a couple of women's flyweights that I think really stood out. Viviane Araújo, her first fight at 125, she dropped down from bantamweight, and fighting a veteran in Alexis Davis, who was a world title contender at 135 pounds. Alexis Davis is known for taking an inhuman amount of punishment in some of her fights, especially the ones, almost all the ones that go the distance. And she took a lot of damage from Araújo, but Araújo, for a younger fighter, less experienced fighter, very calm, very poised, clearly the superior striker. Yeah, she wasn't worried at all. Even I think she lost the second round. She got taken down. Came out third round super strong. Did not give up any takedowns and won that fight. And then Gillian Robertson from Niagara Falls, Ontario, fighting in Canada for the first time. She looked great against Sarah Frota, who was coming up from strawweight. So Frota's a good prospect, but Robertson's really showing, I think today, if not already, Robertson has graduated from prospect status. She's almost definitely going to be ranked. She's 4-1. All 4 of those wins by finish. She has the most wins in the somewhat short-lived women's flyweight division. Most wins, most finishes. So anyone sleeping on Gillian Roberts is you may want to pay attention, including the UFC, who had her on the Fight Pass prelims this time. Depending on the card, she might be ready for a main card opponent. So there's definitely some worthwhile performances on the prelims.
Yeah, and I do want to talk on Viviane Araújo. Good call out in her post, not call out I want to say, but in her post-fight interview, she thanked her English teacher. Apparently she understands English very well, but she's trying to learn English because she really wants to connect with the fans. And in her post-fight scrum, she offered to train victims of domestic violence in her home country of Brazil. I'm seeing a little bit of movement, so I'll keep an eye on if Max or Cyborg or Felice Spencer comes on next, but no one as of yet. But yeah, Araújo really impressed me. She's very charismatic in her scrum, was adamant that she wanted to learn English, and her offering to train victims of domestic violence was very it was a nice message. She said she hates seeing her fellow women go through this when she sees them can't fight back. So she really wants to make a difference down there. Gavin Tucker, another big Canadian win for you, coming off a very long layoff. Conor McGregor actually tweeted about his fight, not about him, but was mostly complaining about Mark Goddard, the referee, for, him and Conor have a little bit of history. Mark Goddard, Gavin Tucker did have a point taken away for an illegal knee. He was very apologetic for it, said it wasn't by any means intentional, and Conor took issue with how Mark Goddard handled the situation. And when we brought that up to Gavin Tucker, he said, he was basically like, aren't you sick of that? Like, who cares what Conor McGregor tweets? And I was like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But big win for Gavin Tucker. Up and down night for Canadian fighters, wouldn't you say, Alex?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And I'm just going to say I agree with Gavin Tucker. And the only thing I'm saying about McGregor is, buddy, it's not all about you, all right? It's other stuff going on in the world. Get over it. Up and down night for Canadians. Like I mentioned, Gillian Robertson winning. Really what backfired on them was putting a couple of somewhat low wattage fights. And I know people are going to say, how can you know how these fights are going to turn out before they happen? There was a lot of people questioning the placement of Christophe Jotko versus Marc-André Barriault to open the main card, and Olivier Urban Mercier versus Arman Sarukian, which was the second fight in the main card. So again, with all due respect to all 4 of those guys, solid fighters, there were certainly questions about how much excitement they would actually bring. I understand them wanting to showcase Canadian fighters on a Canadian pay-per-view. I have no problem with that. Gillian Robertson should have been one of them. And Marc-André Barriault, he was on the Ottawa card, and he disappointed a little bit. So I would have liked to have them move him to a preliminary fight, let him show what he can do there first. Instead, we got a pretty listless fight between him and Jotko, and Barriault actually ended up losing a split decision. So he's now 0-2, and his UFC career is off to a pretty poor start. And Olivier Aubin Mercier was a top-flight prospect coming out of The Ultimate Fighter, and he looked good early on. I think he won 4 of his first 5 fights, something to that effect, and now he's lost 3 straight. And they paired him up with his blue-chip wrestling prospect, Arman Sarukian, after he had just lost and been out-wrestled by Alexander Hernandez. So I didn't understand the thinking there. I don't know what kind of fight they thought they were going to put on the main card, but we'll probably elaborate on that more in our post-show. But I'm just saying there's definitely booking decisions they could have made to make this card a little more appealing.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also agree that you never know how these fights are going to play out. Figueiredo was very adamant that he felt he needed to learn English, and that's why he was so low on the card, which I don't know how truthful that is. We can ask Dana White. I'm sure he's going to say that's not the case, but we'd like to hear from his boss's own voice. But
Well, you should tell them Arman Sarukian doesn't speak any English, and he was on the main card.
That's very true. But I would like to hear from you guys. How did you guys score the main event? I'm seeing a lot of Frankie was robbed. I don't quite understand that. I had Max winning 4-1. What did you guys score the Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar fight, and what did you think of the pay-per-view as a whole? I'm getting a lot of not the nicest comments about the entire card, whether it was a lot of Z's, a lot of sleeping emojis. I don't quite agree with that, but I'd like to hear what you guys thought. And who do you think, what's next for Max Holloway? I think the obvious answer is Alexander Volkanovski. I don't think there's a question. I don't think you can argue that he's not the #1 contender. They do have that big Australia card at the 60,000 seat Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, headlined by Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya. But is that the card? Is that the event to book that matchup? Is that too quick of a turnaround going from July to October for Max Holloway, who doesn't have the easiest cut to featherweight?
Yeah, he doesn't have an easy cut, so we're definitely going to find out tonight. It looks like he didn't take a lot of damage in the main event, though keep in mind he's also one of those guys, he may just kind of have the physique and makeup that, like fellow Hawaiian BJ Penn, where he might not show how much damage he took. Because Edgar was landing shots. He never rocked Holloway. I don't think he ever landed anything super clean, but there was a lot of little small thudding shots in there, and I think I'm no neurosurgeon, but people will tell you all that kind of stuff, especially in boxing, that adds up. It takes damage. So we don't know how banged up Max is. We'll probably find out a little bit tonight when we ask about how he's doing. It's definitely a quick turnaround. Holloway won't say no. Volkanovski probably won't say no. So I say do it. That's a bit callous. That's maybe some disregard for the health of the fighters. Actually, again, Volkanovski also made weight this weekend. So he made weight. We don't know what he'll do in between now and the Australia card, but he'll have to make weight again. It's very tough on the body. I don't care who you are. There's a chance. It makes a lot of sense to put on the card. There's a chance that it's a big enough draw that they may think it should headline another show. Because Max can headline in Las Vegas, Max can headline in Toronto, which he has many times. Maybe a new market that they're trying to break into, maybe somewhere in California. I don't know. I'd have to look at the upcoming schedule again. But it's possible that they think, there's no need to stack the Australia card. It has a can't-miss main event already. Let's save Volkanovski and Holloway for a later date, and I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
I cannot disagree with you more. I think you have to put Volkanovski on. I think you have to put Volkanovski for against the featherweight champion Max Holloway as the co-main event, because let's not forget, that main event is absolutely amazing. It's gonna sell pay-per-views. They have to fill 60,000 seats. So, and he's coming. And just like that, we were informed Dana White is going to be next. So stick around, because UFC boss man Dana White's out next. I'm curious to see what he specifically has to say about Cris Cyborg's fight against Felicia Spencer. Dana White posted a picture Felicia Spencer posted a picture with Dana White backstage saying he was very complimentary of her performance and said that they had big plans in store for her. But she lost, Alex. She lost 30-27 to Cris Cyborg, who looked very dominant in a very impressive performance. I didn't see Cris Cyborg post about Dana White. I could be wrong, I haven't looked, but last I saw, she wasn't posting about Dana White. So I'm very curious what he has to say about that. And of course, Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar has been in the UFC for how long? 14, 15 years? I think he was in the UFC before he even had a kid. Now his kid is, I don't know how old his son is, but he's one of the more tenured fighters on the roster. I kind of have this pre-UFC 100, post-UFC 100, because that, I think, was the turning point in the eyes of a lot of quote-unquote, I hate the phrase casual fans, but I think UFC 100 brought a lot of eyes to the product, especially with the Brock Lesnar and George St. Pierre on that card, and I'd use that pre and post UFC 100 as kind of a benchmark in my eyes. And Frank Edgar's pre-UFC 100, so one of the longest tenured fighters on the roster, still one of the top featherweights in the world. But what are you most curious to hear Dana White? What Dana White's thoughts on?
I got to hear him talk about Cyborg. There's been a lot of disrespect to her social media as far as the Nunez matchup, what's going on with her contract. Will she sign a 1-year deal? Things like that. And again, I don't know if Dana means to disrespect her. That's up to people's interpretation. We all know he has a way of talking to people and a certain way of talking about his fighters, especially ones who have expiring contracts. So she won tonight. He's got no choice but to talk about Cyborg. He better expect a lot of Cyborg questions because they are coming. Now, I mean, I can't imagine what negatives and things he'd had to say about that performance because it was very strong. Oh my goodness.
And we're joined by our cameraman, Casey Lyden. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this card as a whole, but Dana White is out next, apparently. But anything you want to talk about specifically on this card? Yes, you have this big, cheesy smile on your face.
I'm really bummed the drum circle guy stopped playing.
That's what you have to say? Next door, we had a drum circle, and you're bummed out. We just saw Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar fight for 25 minutes, and your thoughts are, I'm bummed the drum circle ended?
You enjoyed that fight?
What?
I'm joking. It was awesome. It was reminiscent of the for me. It was reminiscent of Edgar's two fights with Aldo, in the sense that just Frankie just wasn't quite good enough, but too good for the other guy to even come close to finishing. I guess like where Aldo and Max clearly respected the hell out of Frankie, and we're like, you know what? I can't just go all out and destroy this guy. Maybe because I like the guy, but maybe because when it was in the third round when Max actually hurt Frankie, and then Max got a little aggressive, and then he got taken down. So maybe just Frankie's just always that danger. Maybe these guys watched out those Gray Maynard fights, and they go, oh crap, I don't want to be Gray Maynard. So that's my kind of.
So I'll ask this bluntly: is Max Holloway the greatest featherweight who's ever lived?
He's 1A, 1B with Aldo.
Needs more defenses.
He's beaten the old generation. Now it's time for the Years, the Zabits, the Volkanovskis,
He got one already. Ortega. That was a good one. That was huge. That was huge.
You got Ortega.
Yeah.
So he's clearly on his way and looks. And judging me how dominant he is and what a hell of a chin he has, I would say he will be the greatest featherweight unanimously within, 2 years. But he's definitely on his way. And if you want to call Holloway the greatest right now, go for it.
And Alex and I have very differing opinions on this. Alex thinks that the UFC, it wouldn't be a bad idea to hold the Volkanovski-Holloway fight for maybe another card to headline a future card. I think that has to be on the Australia card to fill 60,000 seats in that stadium. Yes, that main event between Whitaker and Adesanya is awesome, but they need more fights to fill 60,000 seats. So I think Holloway-Volkanovski should be the co-main event, whether Max can do a turnaround that quickly. And also, let's not forget, Volkanovski cut weight for this fight. So that'd be a quick turnaround for that weight cut too. Should that fight be the co-main event? And is there a reason we should not give Volkanovski the next title shot?
Volkanovski absolutely should get the next title shot in Australia versus Holloway. And I don't know what the hell Alex is thinking.
Well, Alex is thinking, well, maybe they can grow into new markets. They can headline other pay-per-views. They have multiple pay-per-views coming up. They need title fights. Kamaru Usman's still not cleared. He wants to fight in, obviously, November. There's a lot of pay-per-views there. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, actually, what I was thinking was I live in the greater Toronto area, and if they headlined in Toronto, that would be really great for me. So that's really where my head was at.
So you want Max to fight again in Toronto?
Yeah, if he can come. Look, he's an honorary Torontonian. I've covered many of his cards, and I would love to see him back again. So purely selfish.
Well, Casey has an absolutely disgusted look on his face. So I'll pass the mic to him.
Yeah. What else is new?
No, I'm just waiting. So I had this whole. I gave all my thoughts, my hot takes to you guys, and it was only because this guy doesn't feel like traveling.
Yeah.
What a joke.
What a joke. Any other performances on the main card that you want to talk about besides the top two fights?
Main card. Who was the first fight in the main card?
That was the Jocko fight.
Oh, yeah. The
Sarukian?
Sarukian, OAM.
Oh, Geoff Neal?
Geoff Neal, obviously. Geoff Neal is obviously. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's a contender, but he's clearly a high action fighter, and for a long time he should have a job in the UFC. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but he's obviously just a fun fighter. He's a guy that can open up any pay-per-view versus any what weight is he? Welterweight?
Yes.
Yeah. welterweight. The bout order is very odd.
That's what I was going to ask you. You had a lot of opinions on Figueiredo's fight versus Pantoja being on the prelims, and those two first fights you mentioned being on the pay-per-view. So, your thoughts on this odd fight order?
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy with the flyweights. You know, like right now, everyone says, oh, like the fighters would say the bout order doesn't matter, but it absolutely matters. We cover the fights. The higher on the card, the more coverage it gets. These guys get a press conference. You're much more likely to get a bonus check if you're higher on the card. And the fact that is there any other weight class where 2 top 5 fighters can go against each other and they'd be that low on the card? Absolutely not, except flyweights.
I mean, that was really the genesis of Chael Sonnen's whole trash-talking gimmick. It was when he fought Yushin Okami, and he was on the prelims, and they were 2 top-ranked fighters, and Yushin Okami wasn't upset. He was upset that Yushin Okami wasn't upset, and he said, I took it into my own hands to really catapult myself to be on these main cards. But that fight ruled.
Did it get better tonight?
It did. So that fight ruled. To put it, in my professional opinion. Any other performances on the prelims that really stood out for you?
Pantoja. I'm gonna say her name wrong, but the young lady that defeated Alexis Davis. Aruja. I say her. Aruja. Sorry, one more time.
Aruja.
She did amazing. Vivi. I have this bad habit of just picking not the favorites, but
the known fighters.
Known fighters.
Yeah,
and I just knew nothing about her, and she kind of blew me away. She blew me. I don't know how the ceiling is for her, but she clearly is already
Her first fight at flyweight.
And she says, and she's even hinting at 115, but she likes flyweight right now. But yeah, she looks spectacular, and how about can we just talk about how freaking tough Spencer and Davis are? Man, I do not. Their faces just must be so just mashed up right now.
That's how we do it in Canada, man. Badasses up here.
Wait, and so how you doing in Canada?
Badass up in Canada.
So the women just can take hellacious beatings in Canada?
Everyone in Canada can take hellacious beatings.
So
don't test that out. If you see me on the street, do not test that out.
Casey, I want to ask you this specifically because Alex and I were Kate's side. You watched it back here in Media Row. There's a lot of comments on Joe Rogan's commentary. So I want to.
For which part?
Yes.
For the Cyborg fight.
Real quick.
Hey guys, the gate was 1.4 million. That's U.S. dollars. Attendance was 12,144. The bonuses tonight went to Hakeem, Geoff Neal, and then Davison and Pantoja. They all won $50,000. Congratulations to them. And then the 50-50 raffle that we did for the Edmonton Oilers Foundation did $75,000. It's a huge number, so very cool. For charity, woohoo. Who has the first question?
Right here, Dan. Happy birthday, first of all.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thoughts on the main event? I mean, Max Holloway goes out there and lands an outrageous number of strikes again, defends his title. Just what did you make of what he did tonight?
Yeah, he looked good, especially as active as he's been lately, and coming off the 155-pound, shot at the title. I thought Frankie did a really good job. Max has had this thing where he's just been overwhelming people, just walking them down and destroying them. And I think Frankie did a good job tonight of using his speed and his movement to make sure that Max didn't do that to him tonight and was able to, take it to a decision.
Yeah, and you mentioned Max's activity. I mean, it's been 14 rounds for him since December. I think, the general idea is of people thinking maybe the Volkanovski fight in Australia, that stadium show, I'm sure it'd be nice to have a second title fight on there. Is that something you're kind of feeling would be the proper next step, or is that too much too soon?
So I haven't even talked to him. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's got any little nagging injuries or what he's got. He just needs to go spend some time with his family and take some time off, and then we'll figure out what's next. But in the scrums that I've been doing out there, I'm hearing that he's asking to fight again. So I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you have yet, but he'll be in here in a minute. It sounds like he wants to fight. So still, I'm not going to do anything until he goes home and takes some time off.
Yeah, and on the flip side, Frankie Edgar, I mean, comes up short of a UFC title again. What are you, 37 years old, the first guy in UFC history to have 7 hours of octagon time, which is just crazy.
Right.
Where do you see him going from here?
You know, it's really up to Frankie. I mean, when I look at people like him, I'm like, what's left to prove? What's left to, he's done it all. And other than money, what does he need? What does he want? What does he, I know he's a competitor and he wants to win that title again so bad, but he's pushing 40, and I was just talking shit about Faber, and Faber just looked great at 40. But who knows? We'll see what he wants to do.
Right, and then the co-main event, Cris Cyborg, Felicia Spencer, tough as nails in there, took some
Incredible.
huge shots. This is the final fight on our UFC deal. She's already walking around with Cyborg versus Nunes T-shirts, January 2020.
I like it.
You like it?
I love it. I mean, that's the fight to make. That's the fight I want to make. So we'll see what we can do.
You're confident that you meet or reach a deal with her?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if that's true, if that's the fight she wants and she really wants that fight, I don't see how we don't make a deal. I mean, if you look at my history in 20 years, how many deals have I not made for a fight? I think it's been like one. I think there's one fight I didn't make.
Which one was that?
It was we never got the Russian. Fedor, yeah.
Right.
I was trying to do that Fedor-Brock fight.
Right.
That's the fight I didn't make.
Okay, and just last thing from me, off topic from tonight's fight, but you did say yesterday that you are giving BJ Penn another fight. You said in 2013 that you felt he had taken too much damage. You said a couple months ago that you couldn't do this anymore. Why are you choosing to promote another BJ?
Because he terrorized me for friggin' a week and wouldn't stop texting me for 3 days straight and, talked me into it. So we have a deal now, win, lose, or draw. This is BJ Penn's last fight.
How do you ensure that? Is he still under contract?
Because I won't give him another fight.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's very clear between us now that there won't be another fight no matter what.
Why did you kind of give in to that? I mean, he's taken the most head strikes of anyone in UFC history. I think it's like over 1,300. I think a lot of people are just concerned about him.
Well, if all you people that are concerned are doctors, then give me a call. If you're not, then mind your business.
Okay. Hi, Dana, back here.
Yeah?
Are you concerned at all that, like I said, you have an agreement with BJ, but that he would try to take a fight somewhere else? Do you ever talk to him about that?
There's nothing I can do about that. I've voiced my concerns. I've known BJ Penn, since he was like 19 years old, and BJ is gonna do what BJ wants to do, and I've had a very crazy relationship with him and his family for the last 20 years. And, BJ walked me through a million reasons why he needs this fight and why he has to have it. And he talked me into it. So you guys know me. When I'm in, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So we're doing this. He's promised me that win, lose, or draw, he will retire after this fight. We'll see if he keeps his promise. He won't fight here, though. That I guarantee you. We won't be sitting here doing this again. That I promise you.
After tonight's performance, do you think that Max has clearly passed him as the greatest Hawaiian fighter of all time, in your opinion?
It's tough. BJ Penn was such a huge talent, and I think that BJ was so talented, he never took it as serious as he could have and should have, but without a doubt. If you look at how small that island is, and the talent that comes off that island, it's pretty incredible. To have two of the greatest fighters ever out of Hawaii is pretty impressive.
And I wanted to ask about Conor McGregor. He's pretty active on social media today, commenting the officiating, then spiraling that into all kinds of other stuff. I don't know when's the last time you talked to him. I heard that maybe you're expecting him to come back in 2020. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I talked to him last week. He wants to come back. So, really what he's doing is looking to see how everything plays out in September. I was just saying out there, as of right now, Habib and Poirier are fighting. You know how this business works. Anything can happen, and usually does. So I think he's just sort of waiting to see how it all plays out, and does he have an opportunity somewhere to jump in and make something happen.
Did he mention to you any other outside the box options, like of course the Nate Diaz trilogy, or now George Masvidal has been calling him out? Did any of that come up?
Yeah, Masvidal's too big for him, man. I think Masvidal's too big. Conor disagrees. So Conor was not happy that I said Masvidal was too big for him.
Dana, right here. There was an elite level flyweight fight that was on the prelims, and backstage when we spoke to Figueiredo about his placement, he said he thought it was because he couldn't speak English. What do you say to that?
Anderson Silva was our world champion and couldn't speak English for a very, very long time. I don't care if you can speak. I don't care if you can't speak. Your fighting speaks for you. This is a fight company. Obviously, there's situations where, if you have the personality of a Conor McGregor or, a Ronda Rousey and people like this, it's a home run. It's incredible. I don't care if you can speak at all. If you can fight, that's all I care about.
And there was a lot of talks of Max being the new face of Canadian MMA, considering he's headlined so many fights here in Canada.
Pretty funny.
Hakeem Dawodu took exception to that. He said he's not from Canada. I am, and I want to be the new face of this.
Who said that?
Hakeem Dawodu.
Okay.
After his knockout.
Yeah.
So what do you say when you see young fighters like that who take issue with that after this violent knockout that they had?
I love it. Speak your mind, pal. Exactly. Tell your people to stop following the Hawaiian guy and start following you. I love it.
What other?
That guy doesn't look like he's happy about anything, though, right? He looks like he's been pissed off since birth.
Well, his nickname is Mean.
Yeah, it fits.
Sorry, last one from us, Dana. What other Canadian fighters jumped out at you from tonight's card? Obviously, this was a great chance to showcase some of that talent.
I thought Canada looked good tonight. I thought you guys represented and looked good. And the whole show. It was a good night for Canada.
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
Just expanding on that a little, Felicia Spencer, I think a lot of people wrote her off coming into this. What was your thought on her performance tonight?
Yeah, so imagine when this woman feels like this is really her house, or the UFC is her house. And, it was her first fight against Cyborg in Canada. When she gets a real, solid strength and conditioning program and there's obviously things. This girl's only got 7 fights coming in here tonight, and you saw her chin, her heart, her determination, her elbows. Impressive. Obviously, especially who she was facing. And I guarantee you she had a massive adrenaline dump before she even walked out to the octagon. So I think she's pretty special, actually.
Kind of building on that, there's not a lot of competition right now for the featherweights, but Megan Anderson did announce that she's got a fight coming up. Are we going to see more commitment to the women's 145 moving forward?
Yeah. Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter ever, and she's the 145 and 135-pound champion, and she wants to defend both. So the answer is yes.
And one more for me. I know we talked about Davison earlier. When he was back here, he was saying, I want Benavidez and I want to be for an interim belt if Cejudo's going to be gone for a while. What is the plan for Henry moving forward? Is it Joseph for the 125?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We gotta get back to work on that and figure that whole thing out. But yeah.
Hey, Dana, over here. When you look at stature and physicality, do you think tonight's performance by Max sort of ends the conversation of him going up to 155, at least for a little bit?
Well, I think his last performance at 55 ends the conversation of him going up to 55. I used to think that he looked big at 45, and then I realized how small he looked at 55.
And then you mentioned about Conor was not happy that you said Masvidal was too big for him. Yeah. What exactly did he say?
That pisses me off that you said he's too big for me.
So was he texting you to say he was interested in that fight, or just that he was annoyed?
I'm telling you guys, I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. This guy will fight anybody. And I don't care if he's pissed off about it or not. I think that Masvidal is too big for Conor. So if we ever get to that point, I'm sure it's something that Conor and I will fight about.
With the welterweight division, just talking on that briefly, we've got Masvidal's on a big sort of tear. You've got Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler fighting, and now Leon Edwards is probably in that conversation as well. Is this the freshest welterweight's looked for quite a while?
Yeah, it's a welterweight division. It's ridiculous right now. I mean, stacked with talent and stacked with unbelievable fights and possibilities.
If Colby wins that fight against Robbie Lawler, it could be argued he's the #1 contender.
Yeah.
Would that mean it's almost the fight to make then would be Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah, that's definitely a good fight to make. The question is, where do you do that fight, and how much security are we going to have?
Thanks, Dana.
Dana, over here to your left. John Jones was tweeting earlier this week about Madison Square Garden in November. Is that at all a possibility for him in the headline role?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him about that at all?
No, I haven't.
Maybe other conversations you're having right now with John Jones?
No, I haven't talked to John. I actually haven't talked to John. But, you know, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I can tell you this. I saw some videos. John Jones will be fighting again.
You got them on your phone? You wanna share?
What's that?
You got the videos on your phone? Maybe you wanna share them with us?
Yeah, that's sad.
Sad how?
Sad that something like that would happen to him, and you know, it's hard to give John Jones the benefit of the doubt till you see the videos. So, I think John Jones is going to be fine.
Did you see today he was at a signing in New Jersey and Corey Anderson and his team confronted him? Did you see that today?
That what happened?
Corey Anderson and his team confronted Jones at an autograph signing today in New Jersey. I was just wondering if you saw that and if that's a possible fight for him, Jones against Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson's turned down about 50 fights in the last month. No.
Fair enough. And back to welterweight for a second. How impressed were you with Edwards, his win over RDA last week?
Yeah, no, listen, I've said to you guys many times what I think of RDA. I got a lot of respect for that guy. He's tough, he's durable, and yeah, it was a good fight.
If Covington beats Robbie next week, is it basically a three-man race for that title shot? It could be Masvidal, Covington, or Edwards. Are they all possibilities?
Covington's next in line, and he stepped up. He took this Lawler fight, and he'll get the fight.
If he wins, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Dana.
Dana over here. First off, you go to different countries as you're trying to build your markets. How do you compare Canada to, like, say, Australia or Russia, other markets that you're building?
All booming. I mean, Canada's been a hotbed for years. I mean, when GSP ruled the world, this place was bananas, man. It was crazy. And we still come up here, and you know the fans are incredible. Love coming up here and doing fights.
After tonight, how much closer are we to hashtag UFC Hawaii?
Not very close. No.
Fair enough. And really quick, back to BJ. After his last fight that's coming up, is he still under contract, or is this the last fight on his contract?
Yeah, he's still in contract.
Still, okay. Cyborgs Performance tonight. I feel like a year or two ago, that fight probably would have been finished. Do you think that maybe she's past her prime, or how do you feel?
Well, it's one of those things. That's what I was saying leading up to this fight when, you know, Cyborg thought that I was talking shit about her, like she's scared or she's this or she's that. It's not about that. It's you start to get to a point in your career where you start to look at, you know, I'm getting older and those type of things. And believe me, people have jumped ship here for easier fights. And I don't frown on that. When you know you're at that point in your career, this is the absolute best fight here. We find the absolute best, and these are all killers that are here in the UFC. And you know, as soon as this fight was over tonight, but let's also say the girl she fought tonight has a ridiculous chin, unbelievable elbows, a ton of heart, and she showed up. She didn't show up for a paycheck tonight. She showed up to try to win.
Fair to say she did what only Amanda Nunes has been able to do with Cyborg.
Right. And, you know, this girl, she's only got 7 fights, but she's undefeated. She's never been beaten. So you can look at that both ways.
And finally, for me, you mentioned earlier that Brock was one of the fights you'd like to make. Is it? Would you say that the ESPN deal is giving you enough leverage that it's just not worth it to give Brock what he's asking for? Is that what the hang-up was, or what was the final hang-up?
It had nothing to do with that.
What was the final hang-up then?
It had nothing to do with that. Brock just decided that he wasn't going to fight anymore.
Thanks.
He was going to do the last deal on his WWE deal, and that was it.
Dan over here. Just promoting your next pay-per-view with, the ticket sales look good for Miocic and DC. What are your thoughts going into that?
Sold out. Yeah.
Nice.
They're actually trying to take tickets for me to sell right now. It's good. It's all good. I'm excited. That card's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Vancouver's selling really well right now, too. So it's all good.
What do you expect from those two come that pay-per-view?
I think that's going to be a fun fight. Stipe's wanted this rematch so badly for so long. He's finally getting it, and Daniel Cormier is convinced that Stipe can't beat him. So it's a fun fight. And then you got, Diaz and Pettis on that card too, and it's ridiculous.
Just one more, Dana, and then we'll let you go celebrate. The thing on just Max.
There will be no celebrating this birthday, let me tell you that.
You mentioned Max at 155. You felt that kind of closed the book. That fight with Poirier, didn't have the longest training camp. I think it was announced like 6 weeks out or something. Do you feel if Max maybe had 6 months or something to add the proper weight, fill out his frame, that maybe that would be the better way to have him fight at lightweight and he could maybe fit into that division better?
I think Max looks small no matter what Max does. At 55, up against Poirier, he looks small to me. I don't think there's a way for him to put that kind of weight on. Listen, I'm not saying it couldn't happen and he couldn't ever go back to 55, but I think that I'm a believer now that this is his weight class.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Have a good night. Thanks again, Canada. You guys are always awesome.
And we're back. So, UFC President Dana White just wrapped his post-fight press conference. A lot to unpack in that press conference. Was very complimentary of your home country of Canada. Talked BJ Penn's return, talked Conor McGregor's possible return, and I'm going to shut up again because Cris Cyborg's out next.
Chris. Congratulations on the victory tonight. Been a while since you've met an opponent that was that durable in there. She was taking all your shots and everything. Were you surprised that you couldn't get Felicia out of there during the 3 rounds?
I was training and then respect all my opponents. I know if they're there because they're tough. And actually, Felicia helped me. Something I'm a working patient. And I saw, when I was punching her, I saw her face can start change a little bit, but I continue my focus what I want to do, and it changed a little bit. Just helping me for work my patient, finish the time we're supposed to finish.
Yeah, and you got cut in the fight, and you said that was the first time. And it seems like it's almost something you take pride in. Why did you almost seem to enjoy the fact you had a cut on you?
My mom probably know proud this cut. It's in the fight. I never have a cut before. It's first time. In the gym a little bit, but in the fight, you just always have the first time.
Yeah, and it happened in the first minute of the fight. So when that happens and you're not used to that, did it have any mental effect on you or anything? Did it make you feel you need to go harder? Did it concern you?
The first thing I was thinking, first I don't want to stop the fight because of the cut. And then I was saying, I'm not going to ask you, Jason, if it's a bad cut, because Jason, the last time for Dos Anjos, say it's no bad cut. And then it's a really bad cut, but I just think about this, continue the fight. I don't want the doctor to stop the fight.
Where's the Amanda Nunes shirt we saw you wearing after the fact for Cyborg versus Nunes?
I know, UFC make me take out.
Okay. When did you have that made? Is it something that you were planning on wearing right?
I just say I would rematch 2020 January, and just showed people I ask after my last fight, I asked for rematch. And I'm no liar about this. It's true. And then told me I have to wait that she's fight Holly Holm. And because I'm a fight Felicia in Canada.
Yeah, and Dana was just in here. He said he wants that fight to happen. Amanda tweeted at you saying, let's make it happen. Is that what you believe is next? Do you believe you're going to sign a new UFC contract and fight Amanda Nunes?
A lot of things going on. Like, have a lot of issues, me, UFC, I don't want to complain about anything, but we don't know just is the fight. Because the people in media don't see anything is inside, but have a lot of things we have to work for. We can continue to stay. You know, everybody knows I don't have the best and the greatest relationship with UFC. I don't have the best relationship with Dana White. He's bullying me around, bullying me in internet, and I suffering bully everywhere because this. I have a daughter, I have a father, and I don't think it's nice this, and never have a say I'm sorry for me, anything about this. And it just this is continue, you know, it's no finish. Like saying I'm scared of fight Amanda Nunes, saying I don't want to fight her, this is liar, because I text him after the fight saying I want the rematch. And this don't help me growing my brain. This is damage my brain. And for me keeping working for one promotion, I don't want somebody damage my brain. I want you growing together. And because this we're going to have to take a little time and see what's going to be better for me.
Yeah, there's a video that came out online of you talking to Dana after the fight backstage. What did you guys say to each other?
Where?
Just now, did you guys not speak after the fight?
Why are you lying? I don't want the rematch. That's it. Say? And he told me, Cris, you cannot be mad at everything I say in the media.
Cris over here, congrats. First of all, where do you rank Felicia Spencer in terms of your opponents in the past? Because it seems like she was able to stand up with you for 3 rounds, something that no one else really has been able to do other than Amanda in recent years. So where do you rank her in terms of your opponents?
You know, what's happened, Amanda, we fight each other, and then the 50-50, I got a cut. This happened. You know, about Felicia, I try work different a little bit. I try move around. I try see the opportunity when I have the punch. I think this different fight, you know. I have 3 rounds to finish the fight. I just figured out this now. I always want to finish the fight in the first round, you know, and I just learn, you know, learning every day.
So as a free agent now, would you say even if the contract is on the table, would you still want to negotiate to see what you're worth out in the market, different markets, or?
Really, for now, I'm really happy about my victory, and I didn't think about this. But it's not just about money; it's about respect. It's about my life continue about the fight. When my fight career, I want to continue growing my brand. I don't want to be any promotion damage my brand because this I'm gonna leave after I stop fighting, and I have a lot of things going on in my mind now and about Victor. But this is the main thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cris, right here. This was your first 3-round fight at 145 pounds. You've had a couple 140-pound fights in the UFC, but did that extra pound in the weighing in and then 2 less rounds, did that play a factor into how you approach the fight?
You know, I was really happy about this fight. I don't have any pressure. I was 13 years defeated, have 13 years champion, and then so much pressure on my back. I was fighting happy today, patient, happy, doing my best, you know, and happy. You know, I just have 3 rounds to finish the fight, and I try, you know. And she's tough. She's moving around. She's tough.
And you've pushed for this division a lot, and she was really your first legitimate featherweight that you fought in the UFC. A lot of bantamweights would come to fight you. How happy were you to see them go out and sign another featherweight for this division?
Finally, this is the words, finally. And 145 pounds have me. If the real ones, you know, Meg Anderson, Felicia, I think. I'm sorry if I forget someone, but I think maybe 3. It's no good for our division. Now I have girls, you know. I'm fighting like maybe 3 years for this. I did my first fight in UFC 2016. I'm fighting for growing our division for a long time. Let's see if this is gonna be good. They're gonna open the opportunity for more girls.
And one final one. You've won a lot of your recent fights pretty dominantly or quickly. Maybe a lot of fans who only know you in the UFC maybe now have seen your whole skill set. In this fight, you showed a lot, your grappling, your wrestling defense, and your striking. Was this a fight that you were happy with your entire performance to showcase your entire skill set?
You know, I think I'm doing MMA maybe 14 years. And I work everything. You know, I'm a brown belt jiu-jitsu. I compete jiu-jitsu, grappling. I'm the world champ 2 times, purple belt. You know, I did a Muay Thai fight. You know, I know it's a mixed martial arts, you know, but I always like to finish the fight in the punch. And I just change a little bit mentally and then work my MMA, do what I do always, you know, and that's it, show a little bit more for the people. But I already had this, but just hide a little bit.
Cris, congrats on the win. You know, just to pick up on the idea that the UFC may be signing some more featherweights, you've been very vocal about them not having a division in the past. Is that a big factor on whether or not you will return?
You can ask again, sorry.
If the UFC is to sign more featherweights coming up, is that a big part of the reason why you will return, or if they don't, maybe you won't?
I don't think just this is the reason. But I would like to fight more than one time per year, for sure. I wait 9 months for fight Amanda Nunes, you know, after Holly Holm. This is not good for the fighter. It's good you be active and training and fighting. You know, this is the good thing.
And one more from me. You know, there's been a lot of back and forth, like you said, with Dana. Not everybody loves their boss. I mean, are you comfortable moving forward, you know, even if things aren't great between you? And is there something he could do that would, you know, make this better as far as your relationship is concerned?
You know, you don't need to love the boss. You just have to have respect between both. I think this is making everything work together.
Thank you.
Hi, Cris, over here. You know, you've only lost twice in your career, so you haven't had this chance to show you can bounce back very often. But how does tonight's win, coming back from the Amanda loss, compare to some of your past wins?
You know, I lost my first fight, you know, a long time, and then back to the cage, and then won. And for me, it's a big challenge ever because I want back to the fight soon. You know, I think one win, delete one other lost. I think it's like this work. It made like this. Fans remember your loss after you win and forgot about. And my nose bleed. And I'm really happy, you know, I improve and I get the win. I work really hard for that, and I always work hard, but, you know, I feel very blessed, happy, thankful for my team for helping me and going through everything, the overcome. This is just show the people, if you lose the sport, you can lose, you can win, but you can overcome and get your win again. You just cannot quit, keep it work.
And you've been very honest about the kind of tough relationship with the UFC sometimes, and even said there was some bullying. How important is it for you to set a good example, especially now that you're a mother?
You know, my daughter almost fight in school because of this. She back at home in a fight, one kid say things about me, and I told her, man, you cannot fight any kid. If they want to say anything for you, you have to let it go. But it's no good. It's no good because what kids listen now, it's everybody on the media and they see the things. They say, your mom have penis, your mom, you know, a lot of bullshit things. Of course, in the school, and she's studying now in America, and then the kids saying things for her, like before Amanda Nunes fight. And then it's hard. You know, how are you going to teach the kid? You cannot, I tell her, no, you cannot let it just, you know, annoy you because it don't annoy me, you know.
Hi, Cris. You mentioned you want to see the UFC sign more featherweights. What are the names out there of featherweight women you'd like to see them bring in, and who do you perceive to be a threat in the division?
You know, I don't think you have any girls free now 145. I think maybe all the girls in Bellator, PFL, and I don't think I have girls free now 145 to sign.
Okay. We've spoke a lot about your relationship with Dana White tonight, but what's your relationship like with Amanda Nunes and her partner Nina Ansaroff? Because they are also saying the same things Dana are, that you don't want to fight and stuff like that. I know that you guys were pretty friendly before your fight. Is that changed now?
No, I don't have anything. It's a fight game, you know. Like Felicia, I don't give the hand for her. It's not because every time she see me in the hotel, she want to shake my hand, and then, okay, we're going to fight. You know, and it's not to disrespect, you just have to be focused, you know, have to switch. You know, when I'm a really sweet heart, a really good person. Fight for me, it's hard, turning hard, but, you know, I have to switch from with Cyborg. You know, and I don't want to give you hands. Man, I'm going to fight. Tomorrow we can be friends. Tomorrow we can go mall together, you know, and just be focused in the fight.
You said you want to fight Amanda in January. Obviously, you're going to have to talk to the UFC about your future with them. At what point do you need those negotiations to be finished by before you make a decision whether you stay or whether you go to another promotion?
You know, I have to see the opportunities I have too. You know, it's a negotiation time because it's gonna be in January because I'm gonna have prepared 6 months maybe.
And is boxing still a possibility?
Huh?
Is boxing still a possibility? I know you've spoken about that in the past.
Maybe, you know, maybe, but you know, I'm getting focused now on MMA, but maybe I'm open for this if it happens.
Cool. Thank you, Cris.
Thank you.
Cris, to your left over here. Did you say how many? You need stitches in your head in the cut? Stitches?
I don't know, but it's a lot.
A lot of stitches.
Yes.
By far the most you've.
Maybe 7, 8.
8.
8.
I was looking at you, Jason. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cris, for your next contract, would it be important to you because you've expressed interest in doing boxing, pro wrestling? Would it be important to maybe have something in your contract, wherever it might be, to do multiple things, multiple combat sports?
This is a good thing, but I don't think UFC have you can do another things for stay. Depending, you know, I think I accept a lot of challenges and it's gonna be good if you have the opportunity for happen. For sure, I would like to do.
Cain Velasquez is doing pro wrestling.
Oh, nice.
They'll be fighting in the UFC, so maybe.
Oh, nice. Good. Maybe they open mind. Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks, Cris.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. That was the victorious Cris Cyborg, who just spoke. Very candid as always, particularly candid about her relationship with the UFC. Obviously, as far as what's next for her career, she's playing, keeping her cards pretty close to the chest, so no surprise there. I'm sure we'll get updates from her and her management directly from the source, you know, through her social media, before we hear from anyone else. So, and the good thing is you don't have to put up with me any longer because we have got Max Holloway coming to the podium right now.
How it do, baby? That was poetic. Can't write this. I want my chips with the dip. Only my Canadians know what's up.
Max, congratulations on the victory tonight. First of all, what do you think of the new belt that's sitting there in front of you?
It's dope. You know, I told you guys, it kind of reminds me of Power Ranger. I heard Power Rangers is doing a reboot. If they're looking for a Green Ranger, holla at your boy, ready for Takeover Hollywood too. But, you know, like I said, you know, it's, I got a Soul Stone. I got one on here already. I don't know if it's Frankie's or Brian's, but it's on there, so it's cool.
Very nice. How'd you feel about your performance tonight?
I felt good. I felt real good. You know, I got to find myself early in that fight. I told, you know, I kept hearing people saying that his wrestling was going to be too much. I kept people here saying that his pressure on me was going to be too much. So I wanted to go 5 rounds and remind everybody that the Blessed Express is on the move. Blessed Era is still in full effect, and that's what we did.
You mentioned wanting to go 5 rounds. I mean, I imagine if you had the chance to finish him, you probably would have. But it seemed pretty close at the end of that 3rd round, and then he kind of took you down, like right at the end. That was the one takedown you got. Is that the biggest opportunity you saw to finish the fight?
I always want to finish the fight. I always trying to finish the fight, but Frankie is a legend, guys. He's a legend, you know. He's the dude. He's been in there with the best of them, and he is one of the best. And, you know, I just couldn't find the shots. I couldn't land the shots. And you know, it is what it is. I felt great.
Yeah, I mean, what does it mean to you? You praised him so much leading up to this fight. It was all respect afterwards. What does it mean to have his name on your resume now?
It means a lot. You know, without the guys like Frankie Edgar, you wouldn't have guys like me. Frankie Edgar was the inspiration. You know, Drake said, train till your idols become your rivals, you know, and we're here. And he's a beast, you know. You can't take nothing away from Frankie. He's still a legend. He's been in top 5 forever in 2 different weight classes, in a weight class where he was very undersized. Boy looked kind of big today, though, but it was super fun, you know. It was super fun, you know. Like I said, I'm trying to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, not the best featherweight in the world. I'm trying to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Frankie's one of the guys to help me one step towards that goal.
And you've spent 14 rounds in there since December, which is a lot of cage time. There's all this talk about potentially fighting Volkanovski in Australia and the big stadium show, October. Does that, just generally speaking, feel too soon for you, considering how much you fought of late, or could you possibly see yourself doing that?
We see what happens, Like, I look fine. I look great. But, I owe it to my team. I owe it to my coaches. I mean, we got to get medical testing, Like you said, I fought 3 title fights in 7 months. I think it's 7.5 months, something like that. And, I want to fight one more time this year, but we got to go take all the right tests and see, and we'll go from there.
And just last thing for me, Dana was in here and he got asked questions about you potentially going to 55 again in the future. And he more or less said the door is closed. Like, I asked him maybe if he got more time, because I know it was a pretty short camp for Dustin to bulk up. And he said, doesn't matter how much time you get, he's not interested in that. What do you just make of that?
Dana changes his mind every day. Tomorrow he might be like, hey, Max, we need a heavyweight fight. So I don't, Dana's mind is all over the place. I got to respect the boss, but, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I know if an opportunity come up there and they come calling, we won't shy away.
Max, to your left over here, congrats on the win. It seems like there's a pretty notable pattern in some of your fights recently where first couple of rounds might be kind of close, and then third round is really when you click and you start to pull away. What is it about you that allows you to do that?
I just gotta get, like a train. I just gotta get my engine rolling, the choo-choo train, and then once it's rolling, it's hard to stop. So I just gotta get in there and figure it out. Everybody's different. I don't have. We have guys to mimic Frankie, but he's not Frankie, And when I get in there, I try to figure it out, find out what we've been working, and see what's working, and then turn it up from there.
You landed a few big uppercuts in the fight, and there were 2 really big ones in the third round that kind of allowed you to pull away. And I think one knocked out his mouthpiece. Ortega hit him with that same uppercut. Is that what you guys saw, like on film, that he was maybe vulnerable to that?
We saw a bunch of things, We saw a bunch of things, and the uppercut was just landing. It was working, And we had a lot of other things that we actually practiced more, but the uppercut just landed. I was like, hey, if he's not going to move his head, moving his head this certain way, I'll just keep doing it, and it was working.
I know that you don't like talking about being a better featherweight than Jose Aldo, but you do have one record that you tied today, 13 featherweight wins in a row. And it's tied with John Jones, Anderson Silva, and Demetrius Johnson as the most wins in a row in a division. What is your reaction to that?
I'm just trying to be a legend. I'm just trying to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and that's the names that I gotta be up there with, and that's respect. So, like I said, like all this GOAT talk and whatever, that doesn't affect me.
Everything okay, Rush? You good? Okay. Just worried about you.
This guy tired. I don't know what is going on.
Thanks.
Max, right here. Back in February, when I spoke with Israel Adesanya, he said when he fought Anderson Silva, he had watched him so much throughout his career that he knew what was coming when they fought. You were pretty adamant that you'd been watching Frankie for a long time. I'm curious if anything similar when you were fighting him played through your mind.
Yeah, people get taken down with that. So when he's doing that, I was like, oh, wow, Frankie's trying it on me. It's pretty cool. But, yeah, a bunch of time we watched a lot of tape. I watched a lot of tape, and there's a lot of times when we're in there and it just clipped back like, oh, I remember this fight. He was doing this, and he was doing it. So it's pretty cool.
Did you call out Daniel Cormier again after your fight?
All the time. Every time. I call out Daniel Cormier right now. You better hope Stipe don't fight. Baddest man on the planet. You better hope that that Stipe make that walk, or you're going to fight a Hawaiian that's probably going to step in there around like 205 pounds, that's ready to take your belt, and that #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Well, what's the beef? I mean, I saw you kind of teasing him when you had that press conference. You just took
I don't
his
know.
belt.
Did you guys see the Twitter? Like, everybody was like saying, oh my gosh, he's limping, Max is limping, fighters and stuff. DC was like, that's Max's swag. He's not being cool. He's clowning me. I don't like that type of beef. The Twitter figures, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. DC, come see me. Nothing but love for the guy. I love DC, man. I love that guy. He's a legend.
Over here, Max, congratulations. First of all, it's been over 3 years since you've went to a decision in the featherweight division. So what is it about Frankie or tonight that took you the distance like that?
Like I said, Frankie's a legend. He's the man, and all I kept hearing was I wasn't going to be able to handle Frankie's pace. I wasn't going to be able to handle his wrestling. I fought no one like Frankie before. So I had in my plan, in my mind, I wanted to go out there and show everybody why I was the best in the world and why Blessed Express and the Blessed Arrows and stood in full effect. So I went out there, control the fight, and show everybody, look, I don't have to be in these wars and this stuff. You know, it's fun sometimes, but sometimes, you know, not looking like the guy from Goonie is great too. So we got some business stuff. We got some business stuff to do after this fight, and I couldn't be too beaten up. You know, the last fight I had this big scar on my face, and yeah, I don't like it. Rush teases me all the time, so it's kind of horrible.
Dana was in here a few minutes ago. I asked him how close we are to UFC Hawaii, and he gave me a short answer, not at all. Do you know anything about that or why he said that?
You know, yeah, I know because it's not a UFC thing, you know, it's a Hawaii thing. It is a Hawaii thing. Like, look, like, you got guys like Abu Dhabi building. They're building a stadium for UFC to come. These guys is building them, you know, like UFC Hawaii, the state, whatever. They don't want it that bad. They don't want it. Abu Dhabi is building a stadium as we speak right now for a fight, you know, and we have a stadium there. So I just think it's one of those things that Hawaii just don't want it that bad.
Do you take exception to that as a star from Hawaii, the face of Hawaii?
You think I do?
I'm asking you. I don't have a thought on it.
I want to fight at home. I want every guy's dream is to fight at home. You know, I want to fight at home in front of my people, and you know, thank God Canada took your boy as the 5. Yeah, you told me. Mike told me. He only headlined 5 Canadian cars, so I might catch up with him. So yeah.
And finally, for me, if it's okay with you, Max, can we get a brief breakdown how Rush Mini Bless feels about your performance tonight?
Yeah, how you feel about how did Daddy look good tonight?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? What was pretty good?
The punches.
Oh, just pretty good. I'm kind of mad. He's not getting chocolate wasted tonight, guys. I am. I'm taking all the goodies that you guys saw and embedded.
What? Then I can just keep the fountain.
Hi, Max. Back here. Sort of along those same lines. You know, I'm sure after the loss to Dustin, you kind of had to talk to Rush about, you know, coming back from the loss. Now that you actually have come back from the loss and you finished that, how do you kind of what can you add on to that lesson?
It's like I said, a true champion is a guy who can get knocked back down and get right back up the reins and keep chugging along. You know, all these guys, everybody, you don't really see someone's character until they get tested. If someone is great all the time and that's all they know, and they never ever had failure, then you really don't know how great they are. You know, they got to run into these problems to find out how great and to find themselves, and this is just one of those lessons.
And should the Australia card, should that not happen, or I mean you don't fight at that card, how determined are you to fight again, at least get in one more before the end of the year?
Yeah, we see what happens. You know, like I just told you guys. You know, I gotta go with my team. I gotta talk, and I know how bad I want to fight at home. You know, and I don't want to take that away from the guy. But you know, at the end of the day, I just gotta go see the doctors. You know, and get checked up, and we go from there. You know. At the end of the day, the stadium and stuff is cool, but I definitely want to fight before the end of the year for sure. You know, UFC had this habit of putting me the first week of December. You know, hopefully if I get medically cleared and everything and I'm good to go by December, I can get that first week because I've been max week for the last 3 years, I think. So don't be changing up on me now because only get one card. Keep that same energy, UFC.
Whoa.
Max, just following up on that, I know you've wanted to be on like a New Year's card or an International Fight Week card. It didn't pan out last year, but those last pay-per-views, it's going to be a stadium show in October, Madison Square Garden, New York, then the December pay-per-view. Will you be satisfied if you're on one of those events?
Yeah, we see. You know, New York sounds cool. Like I said, like you guys said with Vogzanaki and Aussie, sounds cool. So we see. I gotta go check with the doctors, get checked, and we'll go from there.
You have your peanut butter Cocoa Puffs yet?
Oh, no, I didn't have. We're about to have some. Manager looking at me like, no, you're not. But yes, I am. I'll fight you.
All right, go get it.
Thank you.
Hey, Max. You mentioned going to see the doctors and get medically tested. That's something we don't really hear fighters talk about that much. Is this something you've always done, or was this something that started after you had to pull out of that fight with Brian for the unknown reasons, basically?
Yeah, it's something that that you just gotta learn. You know, one of those things that we get better and you get better, and things like that happen. So we've been, I got this little mini me right here. I'm trying to be able to walk and talk and be fine. You know, we had some tragedies that happened, not in our sport, but in combat sports this past week. That's pretty sad, and we want to stay on top of it. My manager, my team, they all push me to go to the doctors whenever something, like, I can be telling them, like, oh my gosh, my hand is sore. They're like, I get texts. I tell one of the coaches, oh, my hand is hurt. I get a text by my manager 10 minutes later, hey, look, check your Google calendar. You gotta go to the doctors right now. I'm like, what? What is going on? Like, I can't, like, you know what I mean? But these guys look out for the best for me, and that's why I love them. And I'm trying to stay around for a long time, you know, not a good time, a long time.
It's actually mentioning those tragedies we had in boxing. You're talking about the clip of you walking in tonight. Conor McGregor actually retweeted it and said, when you've heard about those tragedies, the walk takes on a different meaning. I mean, obviously you were just walking into the arena, but can you understand what he means by that, knowing what's happened in boxing recently?
Yeah, it's crazy, you know, it's crazy. It's, I understand that a lot, you know, it's something that a fighter know, only a fighter know, you know, and the sport is crazy. The sport is crazy, you know. We always, like, me and my coach, me and one of my head coach, we always joke around about it, but the last meal before I fight, all the time, he say, eat whatever you want. This might be your last meal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way we approach it, because we're just warriors and stuff, but we don't wish that, but that's what we say, you know, that's just a mindset, and you never know, you know, you really never know. This world is crazy, this sport is crazy, and it's just insane, and you gotta feel out, you know, nothing but love and prayers to that family that's enduring right now, actually the two families, so, you know, prayers out to them.
Cheers.
Thank you. All good? All good. With my chips with the dip now. Thank you, guys.
Max, can you pose for some photos right there?
Well, back for one final time. It's been Jose Youngs. Next to me is Alexander K. Lee. The UFC 240 press conference just wrapped. Max Holloway was the last one. We're about to go shoot the post-fight